Marianne is asking about any good herbs you might know of for helping with bone marrow or blood cancer specifically.
All right. So I'm hearing that question two ways. So I'm going to answer it two ways. Um, Bone marrow is the factory for your blood cells. Many cancer treatments will suppress the bone marrow. And in that case, we need to build up the bone marrow. And there are wonderful herbs, all of the mushrooms and astragalus, for example, to build up the white cells and the bone marrow. So that's important. There's also a formula, modern Chinese herbal formula made by Health Concerns called Marrow Plus. And I give that to all my patients who have suppression of their bone marrow due to cancer and cancer treatments. So that's one category. Another category are the hematologic cancers like the leukemias and the lymphomas and the myelomas. So this is another animal. So let's be clear what we're talking about. When you have one of these types of blood cancers, your bone marrow is abnormal and it's overgrowing a certain population of cells. There's all different kinds of cells that are produced by the bone marrow to have a normal physiology. And all the different cells that are made by the bone marrow all have different functions. So just basic, you know what a red blood cell is? The bone marrow makes that. The red blood cell is supposed to carry oxygen. The white cells, there's a big population of white blood cells. And in leukemias, you have an increase in white blood cells. So you don't want to take herbs that increase white blood cells. So you don't take Chinese mushrooms and you don't take astragalus if you have a leukemia, because you already have too many white blood cells. And so the white blood cells themselves are super inflammatory. So one of the principles of working with leukemia is to decrease inflammation. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And another is a lot of the leukemias have a viral trigger. And so I always include some antiviral component of the treatment plan. So when we think about managing inflammation in a cancer patient, we can think about things like curcumin from turmeric. We can think about omega-3 fatty acids, the EPA, DHA fish oils. When we think about something antiviral, I usually give vitamin A, and that's for two reasons. Vitamin A is not only antiviral, but it has an impact on cancer cell physiology that inhibits growth. So the challenge with any bone marrow cancer, and there are many types of leukemias and lymphomas and myelomas that change the population of blood cells. The problem with these is the challenge with these also is that if you have a lot of white blood cells, more than should be there inside your bone marrow, which is inside your bones, it's a narrow space and gets crowded. So if you have an overgrowth of white blood cells, you tend to have a decrease in all the other normal cells as well. And so you might have an overgrowth of white blood cells, and then you might not have enough red blood cells. So you might be anemic, or you might not have enough platelets, which means your blood wouldn't clot and you'd be at risk for bruising and bleeding. So the side effects of the disease are these other things. And so all of that needs to be managed. But the solution to that lower population of healthy cells is to lower the population of the unhealthy cells. So that's the challenge. And a lot of leukemia patients, because it's so inflammatory, will have sweats and fevers and things like that. So you have to be mindful of your fluid balance and your electrolyte balance as well.
Beautiful. Thank you for that answer. Shauna, I see you've got your hand raised. You want to unmute yourself and come in here?
Hi,
Hey.
Dr. Nalini. I'm so happy to meet you. I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma. Stage 1 on a self-exam. I'm getting a double mastectomy with no reconstruction in 2 days. So I
Mhm.
decided to go with that part of Western medicine.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
Besides that, I don't want to go with the rest of Western medicine.
mhm, mhm,
They want to put me, my mother died of breast cancer. My first cousin on my mother's side died of breast cancer.
mhm.
I just got my genetic testing back today. They tested 90 genes. I'm also Ashkenazi. No,
Mhm.
everything negative.
You're
So
not BRCA positive then.
no,
Okay.
I don't understand
Okay.
why there's all this hereditary and
Well, it's something else. That's only
yeah,
one
something
thing.
else.
Yeah. Mhm.
So my first question is there anything to take to recover well from surgery? Is one. And the next is there, so I want to work with you or someone like you to not have to do tamoxifen or the other ovary, the other
Yeah.
estrogen.
Well, all right. So the most important things in recovering from surgery
Yeah.
are to be well rested and well hydrated and to eat enough protein. Those are the main things. And also to take probiotics. So it's really interesting. Patients who have a healthy microbiome and use probiotics before and after surgeries have overall less complications of surgeries. And so that's one of the most powerful things you can do. And I really like, there's a live probiotic called BioK, BIO-K, and you have to buy it in a natural food store in the refrigerated section. It looks like a little yogurt container, and it comes in on dairy as well. And you would start now, if you could go get one, drink one now, and then drink a container every day for about a month after your surgery.
Okay.
That's a really good thing to do because that ramps up your immunity, it decreases inflammation, turns on a lot of other genes that are in your gut, turns on the production of B vitamins, etc. So that's really important.
Should
And
that be done on an empty stomach, these probiotics?
it doesn't really matter. People think it
Okay.
does, but it really doesn't. All food, all traditional foods have some kind of fermented food in the diet. Every country has something, and that's because we need to have some of those healthy bacteria every day. So it's nice also to just eat fermented food in the diet, fermented vegetables, fermented dairy, fermented non-dairy, whatever you tolerate, is really just a little half a teaspoon a day of a variety of different things gives the gut a wide population of healthy bacteria. And that's actually better than taking supplements, which just give you a gazillion of a few. So it actually causes imbalances sometimes in the gut. But really just being well rested, well hydrated. And then after surgery, you also have an increased risk of blood clotting. So you want to get up and move. You do not want to be sedentary after surgery. That's why in the hospital, they come get you and make you walk even before you ever think you want to. So the more you move, the better. A mastectomy is a big surgery. So you should plan to work with a physical therapist who specializes in post-mastectomy rehab so that you get your upper body strength and your full range of motion back. And you just follow the directions of the surgeon and the nurse for what you're allowed to do and not do after your mastectomy. A stage 1 cancer with a double mastectomy has a very low risk of you having a recurrence. But with your family history, what you'd want to do is work with someone to look at the things that aren't looked at genetically and genomically by the oncologist. And also you could make use of what we call blood biopsies now. Over time, you could see if there's microscopic evidence of any breast cancer in your blood without having to have a lot of therapy scans and things like that. So there's new technologies now where we can scan the blood for microscopic amounts of tumor DNA, and that's becoming more available, more accepted in cancer. And there's a new test called Galleri, Galleri. It's just been adopted by Mayo Clinic, actually, and it's a screen for a lot of different cancers. And so anyone can do that. And it's about $1,000. So that's the limiting factor for some people. But that's the newest technology right now. And it scans for lots of different types of cancer for early detection, microscopic detection. But the most important thing, part of what the Outsmart Cancer system is to take control of the cancer terrain, to take control of your biosystem, to take control of this environment that's either going to host cancer or inhibit cancer. And so there are sets of blood tests that can be done to monitor the cancer terrain so that you can see if the diet you're on, the supplements you're taking are actually achieving this physiology. So for example, you would monitor vitamin D levels. So vitamin D level around 75 to 85 is inhibitory of cancer. And so most physicians are not schooled in vitamin D and say, well, if your vitamin D is 40, it's fine, and if it's 60, it's too high. Well, they're not aware of the research. So that's an example of things that you do to optimize your cancer terrain so that if you have risk, because personally you've already had cancer and because of your family history, then you will want to proactively create a physiology that is inhibitory of cancer.
We hope you enjoyed this short excerpt from the Health and Healing Club. This entire video, including an in-depth discussion and thoughtful and inspiring questions and answers, is available inside the Health and Healing Club, along with hundreds of hours of premium and exclusive life-changing content, practices, and holistic, natural, and integrative solutions for health and healing. You can start your free trial today at healthandhealingclub.com.